Oh, cool. I've decided not to lose any sleep over it because there's really nothing
definitely.
I can do.
Well, that's
So
it, mate. That's it.
just trying to keep busy and relevant is the whole thing. Lots of online gigs and well, I say lots online gigs. Are a bit. It's trying to stay in the dance, mate. You know what I mean?
Oh,
It's
mate, I definitely. It's well, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask. Obviously, you've been doing your online stuff.
yeah.
Obviously, I suppose the way I worded it, you managed to improvise by doing everything online. Pardon the pun. Obviously, with Monday night, with the Monday improv, like how's that been going?
It was see when this all happened. And nobody knew like time frames. I mean, there was people turning around going, "Oh, we're not going to be back to normal in like May. We're not going to be back to normal." Like, "Oh, see everybody at the Fringe." You know, nobody had any ideas. I had a genuine worry that this was going to be. I thought, if nothing else, I'm getting a couple of months off being away at the weekends. That's generally what I thought. And straight away, I didn't know what to do, but I thought I'll do something. So I started doing like a wee Friday night show on just my Facebook, and I got crazy viewers. Like that was like 300-400 people tuning in at a time.
Yeah.
And it was like, what the fuck? So clearly people were quite hungry for it. But as time went, things have changed just in general. Anybody that started a show or anybody that had a show that had like big numbers online, they've dwindled. It's just the way of the world. It's just, folk are doing other things. Folk are, they've taken up wanking, I don't know. Or, they're doing other things to amuse themselves. The novelty's worn away.
Yeah.
Because the industries I work in, people like live entertainment. And I don't think that's ever going to change. And because obviously I was already doing the Monday night improv show and online stand-up gigs hadn't really started yet, if you know what I mean.
It was kind of just before everybody started going, right, we've had our time off, we're going to start trying to do stuff again.
Yeah. Nobody had really, or even then, I think people were still kind of like, oh, what would we want to do that for? We're all going to be back gigging in a couple of months.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'd approached a couple of people. I don't know. I just had a feeling it was going to go on a wee bit longer. Do you know? I just had a sneaky feeling. I don't think this is all going to be all right by March. When the Prime Minister's coming on your telly and going, "Stay in the house." It's like, oh shit! I think I've bingo carded quite a few things in my time on this planet. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's a first. That can't be good.
Oh no, definitely. Me and my mate were sitting talking at one point, like going out when we could, like standing, like parking like 2 spaces away from each other and having a coffee, and we were standing talking and going, we might be back to work in a couple of months. Like that's what we were aiming for.
Aye.
No chance it. Especially I was in a pub at the time, so there was no chance of that. Obviously, same as you guys. Obviously, I'm working in like comedy clubs and venues.
Yeah. So that was the thing. I'd approached the Monday night, the improv guys. Now, improv traditionally isn't done as an online show, and the guys were quite reticent. It was quite weird actually because we were meeting up and we were sort of playing the games and we were writing some sketches and stuff together. Actually became almost more of a support group. if anything. It was friends interacting 2 or 3 times a week, even though realistically,
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh yeah, but that's the thing. All my like close friends are people like I gig with.
Yeah, exactly.
So it worked out quite well. The guys were kind of resident to do a live thing, but I'd kept coming back to, I want us to do live shows. I want us to do online shows. I think it's the way it's going to be. The Stand Comedy Club started doing like a weekly live show on a Saturday night. And I was lucky to be a part of those early doors as well. And it just got, and there was a clear appetite for it because I think people started going, this isn't going to be back anytime soon. Now, we got a wee burst over the summer, like England opened up a wee bit, and I went down and did some gigs there, and we did the driving gigs here, which were so much better than they had any business being. Like, a couple of the ones were really fun. Like, I can see were really fun. There was a couple of them that were fucking atrocious. Sorry if you hear my 1-year-old crying in the background. So that was, it was just a desire to keep going. Like, I'm not fucking quitting. You know what I mean?
That's the best way to be.
Yeah, I've been a comic 15 fucking years. I've outlasted a lot of people more talented than me. I've put in the hard work. It's just like, this is something I'm passionate about. It's what makes my heart beat, Colin. Do you know
No,
what I mean?
definitely.
And that's no taking anything away from wrestling. I love wrestling, but do you know, I remember Ellie Doors saying to Dallas, don't ever make me choose between the two.
Because there's only one winner.
Because comedy will win outright. And I'm sure, and don't get me wrong, if somebody turned around, it's like between, doing X and then doing wrestling, I would pick wrestling,
Yeah.
It's but the desire to keep doing gigs, and we sort of got things going, got our oars in the water, was the phrase I kept going. It's like, we need to do it. We need to actually just,
it's just getting make that first step and kind of,
that's it.
And that's it. It just takes off from there.
And re-educating folk on how to do it. It's like, folk are used to, getting a pint with the pals, turning up, watching a comedian live. You're still getting that kind of experience, but it's not the same. One of the hardest things as early doors is nobody had figured out that we need mics on and we need to hear comedians laughing back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because everybody muting each other and it's dead air.
Yeah. And I did a couple and they were fucking horrid. Like, just screaming down the mic going like, I don't know how this is going.
There's no feedback, so you can't feed off of anything as well.
Yeah. I was probably a wee bit lucky because of the radio and maybe even to a lesser degree wrestling commentary, because I'm just used to going.
Used to talking. You don't really get that feedback, I suppose, from until you watch it back, I suppose.
That's it. And even with the radio, I mean, I remember when I started on the radio, it was really weird because like there I am doing bits and bobs and there's no feedback. There's like nothing. And you go, oh crap, am I dying on my hip?
Especially when you're used to getting that instant feedback as well.
So that's what it came about. It was a case of want to get the oars in the water, keeping people relevant, because everything will come back in some form. It's going to evolve. I'm more than I'm one of the frustrating people that have accepted that. There's still plenty of people that are knocking like, it'll have to be like it was or nothing. I think it's going to evolve really. I think you're going to be turning up, and I've seen gigs that people are doing online, and I've like, yep. These are the first steps. Like, seeing people doing gigs with a couple of people in the audience, but then there's like a big screen next to them that we can see.
Multiple faces across the screen.
Multiple faces across the screen. I've seen people doing literally projecting to a wall of Zooms.
Right. Okay.
And it's going to be it's going to be halfway between like a TV show and halfway between a live gig. And I think that's what it'll be for I think that's what it's going to be across the board. You'll turn up at the Hydro and there's going to be giant screens.
Yeah.
Like the ones I'd have to use as a comparison is, I think WWE is kind of how it's going to be. Well,
I know they've been talking about getting fans in for WrestleMania, but again, that's probably going to be a stretch. That you've seen it in sports like the NFL and stuff have managed to get fans back in quite large numbers, but however that works, like comedy clubs are obviously a lot smaller, and it's a lot more of a risk for everybody to get them into that kind of confined space, I suppose.
It's going to take a while. I've seen people do some online shows and they've actually dubbed in laughter, and I was like, that's
hilarious. The jokes haven't even been that funny.
Jokes aren't even that good, man. It's fucking dreadful. But that's how it's going to be. If all things, as for likes of WWE, it's like it is an example of how it's going to happen, and you're seeing these gigs more and more. And but I genuinely think it'll be a hybrid, because nothing in this world beats seeing it live. Nothing in this world.
No, like, definitely.
You could sit at home and watch the cup final and have the best angles in the world on your TV, but you see if you can get a ticket to go to the game.
Oh, you're going
to the game, aren't you? So
exactly.
It's just two completely different things.
No, I completely agree. Just with, obviously you spoke about the radio as well. How's that been? Obviously, radio studios again, they aren't the biggest. Have you been working a lot from home doing your radio show, or are you actually going in?
No, I'm actually in because hilariously I'm classed as a key worker, which is funny. We're quite lucky because the studios that we're in actually have a effectively the same air filtration system as airplanes do. Airplanes are one of the safest places to be. So, but we are working within a bubble.
Yeah.
We're only allowed contact with X, Y, and Z. it's probably one of the safest working scenarios it can be for us.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, it's been hard through lockdown because obviously you've got to wonder what people's mental states are, and these coming up with new content every day can be a wee bit of a struggle. I feel bad for the guys that are on travel sometimes because it's like, what, the changes on the road? Fuck all. Nothing's happening.
There's no one on the road.
There's no one on the road.
The changes are there is another car.
Yeah, there's roadworks. Don't worry about them. There won't be any holdups. That's pretty much about it. And we've seen the real arc of this whole thing. So being on the radio, no, it's been great. The guys that I work for have been really, really supportive, and I think a lot of stations they're finding ways of doing it and keeping everyone as safe as they can. And thankfully they've been quite safe environment. I don't think there's been any, breakouts or anything. And everyone's quite good in terms of self-policing themselves. Like if somebody thinks, has thought they've come into contact and they've self-isolated. And so we're taking all the steps we can, mate. Taking all the steps we can.
Perfect. Brilliant. Just kind of touching on, also again, I suppose it's moving away from the radio side because that is like a permanent job for yourself. With regards to the government support for the comedy or for the arts, really, just in your opinion, do you feel there has been enough, or is there enough in place?
Right. I was involved with the Association of Scottish Comedic Artists because comedy itself for years and years was never classed as an art form, even though like the Creative Scotland said they classed it as an art form, but they made to comedy next to no payments, like in terms of funds or grants. It didn't happen. There's I want to say there was an attitude towards comedy. I believe that is true. Okay. Thankfully with this lockdown, we kind of managed to break through that a wee bit and I mean, it's a £1 billion industry. With festivals and tours and what have you. So to finally have it recognised as an art form was a big deal for us. And so that did happen this year. Sorry, this feels like one of my kids coming in. You can stay, buddy, but close the door. So getting that recognised as an art form was a huge thing for this year. Do I think there's been enough funding for? It depends on what you do within the industry. There's so many. Oh, you want to say hello to Colin? All right, say hi. Oh.
Hi.
Hiya.
There you go, buddy. Good lad. And that'll be him off. Quite happy.
Smashing.
So no, I don't feel. It's kind of weird because I'm a self-employed person. Like I'm a business, which is hilarious. Yeah. Billy Kirkwood is a business.
You are the business, as Drew would say.
As Drew would say, yeah. So I was quite lucky over the last couple of years, because I do lots of different things and they all come off comedy. I was able to get some of those self-employed government kickbacks.
Right. Okay.
But in terms of, do I think the venues were supported? It took 6 months to get a penny for venues and people within comedy. And I'm not talking, it's like all the orbit industries that go around it. You think of people like marketing, the likes of The Stand, they haven't been able to open their doors. Monkey Barrel, they've not been able to open their doors. They're facing real, genuine financial hardships. And at the end, I think the maximum hardship grant they managed to get was £2,000.
Yeah.
And you think that there's been some people that have not earned a penny off comedy for 8 months or 10 months now. And the most they've got. Yeah, the most they've got is £2,000. And universal credit, what have you. If you're lucky, that'll help with someone's car payments. That'll pay the mortgage for a few months. It's not going to help them keep going.
No, definitely not.
So, in saying that, payments were made out to venues and promoters. I don't think enough were.
Okay.
I don't think lower level clubs and people that really hold up the industry was given to them. I know the clubs in Aberdeen, they didn't get money, and I know other people that didn't get money in other venues, and people that could help rebuild the industry weren't given money. So, and even then, it's like, well, that's great if you're given, X, £200,000, but for 10 months, that's not going to be enough. I mean, I know the likes of The Stand, they had to make people redundant. They had to make the majority of their staff redundant. I think they're down to virtually a skeleton crew.
Bare bones,
looking at an empty building effectively, doing all the stuff in the office, but I think they spend a lot of their time rearranging tours. At the moment, no, I don't feel enough's been done. I don't think enough's been done for the arts in general. I think we could have opened during the summer. I think I could keep waxing lyrical about how I don't think enough steps were taken to make sure we got this virus down. And even now we're kind of just we're kind of still talking about it. And it's like, could you not pull your finger at your arse? I think that's where we're sitting, man.
I think the most painful part is when you look at New Zealand.
You look. My brother.
They're an island. We're an island. How could we not do it?
My brother lives in New Zealand. Even if we'd have done the quarantined hotels and all that type of thing at the start, we would have done something fucking stupid like reopening the entire country and letting people go to like Spain and just bring it back in. I know we would have fucked it, but if we'd have done like New Zealand and just kept them open the whole way through, I honestly believe the industries would be thriving. I think we would be open for business, and people wouldn't be able to go on holidays, but they'd be able to go to concerts and they would go to gyms, all the basic things. Hotels would be turned into quarantine hotels, and they'd be fucking delighted with the custom. So
exactly, they'd actually be ticking over as well, as opposed to sitting virtually empty.
Sitting empty. So I think they would be in a better state. So at the end of this, man, someone better get pumped pretty fucking hard for this. That's all I've got to say.
Obviously, recently you've seen wrestling or ICW anyways kind of started back up, but you've been back on commentary. How's that been back in that environment?
Well, I have to say I myself have not been at the tapings. We're doing everything remotely,
right? Okay.
Which I've done a little bit of before, so it's not the end of the world. It's great to see the guy. It's turned into from live event with TV element to a full blown TV show, which is very cool. Do you know it's weird? Like and you know this more than anyone. The crowd can make such a big part of it.
Yeah.
But see, from a commentary position, it's amazing how much I noticed that I really just watch the wrestling. I really am just about what's going on in the ring. So don't get me wrong, I miss the crowd. So much. It adds just that, that other dimension to it. But no, it's been good. It's been re-educating and how we do it. I mean, the crowdless shows, they've been good. For the wrestlers, I think they've done a fucking amazing job.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've watched that. I've watched a few of them as well, and it's one of those ones. It'd be weird, but once they're used to it, you just kind of take off.
I think so, and because of the way guys construct their matches, I just think we're able to take that wee bit more care and tell the story in a different way. And I'm seeing guys, everyone from like Leighton and Jess, they just seem to have managed to adapt it so they're going down the lens.
Yeah.
And I just think it's really cool. I mean, I look forward to when there's 100 people there. I look forward to when there's 200 people there.
Yeah. Even 10 people would make some noise.
Hey, look, man, we're talking about doing gigs where there was no one there. One of the first gigs I did for the stand when it was a live thing, there was like, I think 12 people in the room, and that included other comedians, TV, all social distance, bar staff, like everyone being so stretched out. But you see, to hear laughs in real time, fuck. Oh my God, it was like a hot shower.
Yeah.
It was just like, thank Christ, So I think it's been really interesting for me and Jamie, because we've had to readjust how we do things, but in a positive way.
Yeah.
It's turned in for us a real learning experience. Just when I started going like, I don't know if I'm any good at this, I need to get better. So it's reevaluating that and helping really tell that story. And it's cool to be working with guys like Scott and Dallas who are then able to go, right, they have the time to be able to go, right, this is what we're telling, this is what we want to do. And so to get to work with the guys in that element, like Red and all those guys, it's made a big difference. And I think that ICW is doing very well. I think, we're the only show, I think we're the only show in Europe that's doing them. Oh no, that's not true. I think maybe WXW was doing something.
Yeah, I don't know if they've kind of started back up after everything kind of went to pot.
I think they maybe did a closed studio thing maybe at one point, but at the moment we're in there and we're hanging with stuff. We've got our Bard special coming up in a couple of weeks, which is effectively our Square Go. And I thought it's a great show. I thought it's a really, really great show. It's something a bit innovative as well.
Yeah,
so it makes it stand out. So Scotland's battling as hard as it always has, and I'm delighted about it.
Perfect. And just to finish off, Billy, look, What's your view for 2021? What have you got planned, and then obviously, what's your hopes for the rest of the year?
That's such a hard thing. Like right now, I should have been in Australia doing the comedy festivals.
Right, yeah.
Not doing that. So I think I'd like to build to a happier 2022, like a solid 2022. I know that sounds kind of daft, but for me personally, it's going to be learning as a comic, learning as a broadcaster, keeping the roof above our heads. That's all that is my focus. Trying to stay in the game as much as we can, and by that I mean fucking life.
Yeah.
Staying safe. Those are really the priorities right now. Hey, we can all daydream. Wouldn't it be great to think like, oh, I'll do a radio show, or I'll do something, what else? But at the moment, I just think working on what I've got in front of me is where I want to be right now. And hey, listen, I'd love to think I'm going to be back at an Edinburgh festival or what have you. But the world's changing, man. Like I got booked for a comedy festival, a virtual comedy festival in Amsterdam. And it's like, okay, that's cool. That's a thing, and that's something to be positive about. So
yeah.
That's what I'm gonna wish I was in Amsterdam. But that's all we can do, man, is just keep our head above water. That's it.